have a round of applause for Raul and Brandon? It's just been fantastic. Thank you so much for bringing us all together. You know, before I even start, I have to say, it always amazes me how God, I call him the divine, leads us to where we need to be. You people are my tribe. I always find that so amazing. Okay, hi, I am Joanne Ross, and it's a pleasure to be here today. So the woman you see in front of you today looks kind of healthy, like I got my crap together, like I know what I'm doing, but it really wasn't always like that. So about 10 years ago, I guess, I can't even remember when it was anymore, I was helping my son and my boyfriend change a motor in a car, like all good moms do, right? And I went to bend down to pick something, and I got stuck, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Because I was a girl who could do anything and would try anything and did anything. So I'd swim 2 kilometers at lunchtime at work. I went to circuit training 3 times a week. I played on a women's hockey team. I played baseball. I roller skated. I water skied. I hiked. I did everything that you could think of. I was very, very fit. That was my life. That was where I got my energy from, was being very fit and enjoying life in every single way that I possibly could. I even learned to drive a motorcycle when I was 50. So life was good. But why couldn't I bend down all of a sudden? It just escaped me. So the first thing I thought of, it's either Lyme disease or it's West Nile disease. So I went to the doctor and I got tested for both, and both came back negative. I was like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on. So I had one knee that was swollen, so it was visibly swollen. It was this big, red, ugly, hot thing. And it just kept going, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. But it was in my right knee, and then that went on for a while. And all of a sudden it was in my left ankle. I'm going, okay, this is crazy. I don't know what's going on. And I kept going to doctor after doctor, undergoing test after test. And every time it would come back that, well, your blood work is normal. There's a bit of inflammation, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Okay, so I kind of went with the attitude, there is something wrong with me, but you haven't found the answer. So the medical system doesn't really lend itself to getting a second opinion or getting another family doctor. You have to be referred to things. So it did get to the point where I was at work, it was a conference, and I was sitting down in a chair, and I was in so much pain that I burst out crying in the middle of this big presentation, and I just couldn't stop. So my boyfriend took me to the ER, where I stayed overnight, underwent tests and x-rays, and not an MRI at that time, but a scan. And again, we really can't find anything wrong with you, but we look at you and you do have one big swollen leg and the other one seems fine. So we're going to keep you overnight to make sure that it's not a blood clot, because if it is, we want to catch it before it moves anywhere. So no. So they came up with, I had a Baker's cyst behind my knee. So Baker's cyst is just like a glob of, I don't know what, behind my knee, which they said, which is why I couldn't bend down. Well, that's weird because it was in my other knee a couple of weeks ago. So they sent me home with some medications, some Tylenol 3s to kill the pain. And I lived off those things like they were candies. And they sent me to a sports clinic. I kept getting the same thing over and over again. There is nothing wrong with you. You're perfectly fine. And I was determined that, no. And I kept having this little voice in my head. You have Lyme disease. disease. You have Lyme disease. So I started doing a lot of research, and I kept getting worse and worse and worse. I could have brought my list. I have a page. There are 4 full sheets of 8 by 11 of symptoms that I had. My pain would move from one spot in my body to another spot in my body, and it would be inflamed, and it went through every system in my body. I had an eye that felt swollen. Not my eyelid, my eyeball felt swollen. I had cramps. Who was talking about cramps in their toes where their toes stood straight up in the air? That hurts a lot. I had some of that. I had diarrhea for 7 years. There's blood on my sheets in the morning, and it was just because my poor little body couldn't keep up with this. I couldn't roll over in bed. I was in so much pain. My boyfriend literally had to roll me over. I couldn't sit down to go to the bathroom. That was awesome. I couldn't cut my meat. I did not have the strength in my body to cut my own food. So I had to stand up and put all my weight down to try and cut my food. It just went on and on. My feet hurt. It hurt to touch my skin. I lost all the muscles. My shoulders were atrophied. My arms were too heavy. So I used to have to walk around carrying my arms because it hurt. And every doctor told me I was fine and there was nothing wrong with me. So I did some massage for a little while until I couldn't climb on the table anymore and I couldn't stand to be touched because it hurt too much. I tried acupuncture. My daughter is a hypnotherapist, so she did some hypnotherapy with me, which helped relieve some of the pain, but it didn't solve the problem. I went to acupuncture. I tried calm float. I tried everything that you could think of. Nothing helped. Test after test after test. I went to literally hundreds of doctor's appointments. And I can't remember the word now, but endocrinology, thank you very much. Rheumatoid doctors, disease specialist. I can't think of the word. Contagious disease specialist. Everything that you could think of. Nobody had an answer for me. Life was getting very hard by this point. I couldn't go down the stairs. I had to go down backwards, one step at a time. It was getting very hard to move. And I still had to go to work because there was nothing wrong with me. So getting up in the morning with assistance, brushing my teeth, combing my hair, having a shower, and that's it. I was done. I had to go and have a nap before getting dressed and going to work. And then I'd get to work, and it's like, I can't even walk out of my car to get into work. Anyways, so this went on for a long time. And finally, the doctor sent me to a rheumatologist. And the rheumatologist took tests, and they all came back negative. But she said, your symptoms say that you have rheumatoid arthritis. And that's what they started treating me for, with steroids. Steroids are a lot of fun. I was on prednisone like you wouldn't believe. And everything they tried didn't work. So they kept prescribing stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger until the next step was for a nurse to come to my house to give me injections once a week. And my dad was terrified. He was just beside himself. My baby girl is going to die. So I was about this close to being either in a wheelchair or in a coffin. Pick one of the two. And so I finally went to see a naturopath who sent my blood off to California. Thank you, California. And ta-da, I have Lyme disease. So now I bring this to my doctor going, yes, we have Diagnosis, you can treat me. And they go, no, we can't because you were tested in the US. Our Canadian tests say you are negative. And that is because there's 33 different strains of Lyme disease. But where I'm from, we test for one strain. And besides that, I had some of its fun little partners, the co-infections. I had Bartonella and I had Babesia. And then I also found out I had walking pneumonia. So party time in my body. And then so now I'm like, okay, I have the test results. They're not going to help me. I had to pay for all of my treatment out of my pocket. And I can't work anymore. So I did get some disability from work. I'm not going to tell you the whole story because I could write you a book on this and be up here for the rest of the day. But it was an ugly trajectory that only because I am one strong, tough, stubborn, intelligent woman, and I did all of my own research, and I knew that rheumatologist was killing me because the only thing that is in bold in all the research about Lyme disease, never, ever give anyone with Lyme disease steroids because it makes it so much worse. And I was getting cortisone injections in my hands, in my hips, in my feet, in everything you could name. They were killing me, literally. And when I said, I am not taking those anymore, I got yelled at by a doctor. And nobody wants to treat me anymore. Nobody wants to touch me because I'm not following the rules. So I have done things like ozone therapy, where you get ozone shot into your veins. It's an amazing thing. They run it through your body 10 times. They suck the blood out, fill it with oxygen or ozone, put it back in. I tried it all. And finally, I found an amazing doctor in British Columbia, which is look at me, a province, a couple of provinces away. And he was magnificent. And he treated every single system in my body, one at a time. And the last one was my head. I needed my head to be clear because I couldn't think straight. I couldn't finish sentences. I forgot everything. I had to fight to get insurance and coverage from the government, which is like a pension plan for when you're ill. And I had to fight them because they thought I was lying. And it went all the way to the final tribunal. And at that meeting, I had to have my husband speak because I could no longer carry on any kind of a conversation. So I was pretty much at the bottom, and I was all alone. My boyfriend went to Saudi Arabia. My kids were grown and gone, and I didn't want to put that on my parents. So I had to deal with this all by myself. It's not fun. And so, as I was recovering at home, I started to think, I feel really bad for young kids today. Life is very difficult now. Anna and I talked about this a little bit. Nothing is taboo. They see everything that happens in the world. How do they deal with that with their poor little brains that aren't even developed? So I decided I am going to find a new career, and I'm going to be a meditation teacher for kids and teens. And I'm going to teach them how to deal with their nervous system and calm their nervous system down and be able to deal with things instead of being stuck in fight, flight, or freeze, to be able to be reasonable and to be able to think things through. And it's funny how one thing led to another, led to another. So then I became a yoga teacher, and then I became a yoga teacher for kids and teens. And then I found this wonderful woman who was giving this year-long course for $25. And I hummed and I thought, should I, shouldn't I? What a silly thing. I didn't have money coming in, really, and I was spending tens of thousands of dollars on all these treatments. And finally I went, it's $25. Do it, woman. So I did. And that was the beginning of finding myself. So you were absolutely right when you talked about the universe kicking you in the butt. The universe kicked me in the butt many times, and I didn't listen. This time it was, woman, you are done. You sit down and you shut up and you pay attention, girl. That's what I did. So I have been voraciously trying to learn everything that I can. And again, you know, I tell you people, you are my tribe. You've talked about all the things that I have learned over this time. There was my emotional side that I needed to heal. There was my mental side that I needed to heal. There was my physical side that I needed to heal. And there was my spiritual side that I needed to heal. And we have to pass that on to the next generation. And we have to learn that, and we have to be a guide for everyone that we meet every day. Every little thing that you do matters. Everything you do matters. And we're brought up with these limiting beliefs. Paul talked about them too. Big boys don't cry. You should respect authority. And if the baseball coach tells you to do something, you do it. That's not always right, is it? We've heard horrible stories. We need to listen to our guts. We need to learn to be silent and listen to what our soul has to tell us. So I've come up with a mantra, thanks to another one of my amazing coaches. And it goes a little bit like this. I am the hand of the divine. My energy is high. It reaches up into the sky. I want you all to understand that you are all the hand of the divine. Each and every single one of you. There's no accidents. God does not make garbage. Did you know that you all have the same purpose? Everybody says, you know, I'm here for a reason. I have a purpose. It's all exactly the same one. Can anybody guess what it is? It's even simpler than that. Be you. There is no other you. You are unique. Even if you're a twin, your twin is not like you. There's only one you, and you have a purpose in your life. And you, unfortunately, came to Earth as a human being to learn some lessons. Some of them really suck. But sometimes you have to be brought down to your knees to be able to be silent and listen to what your heart and what your soul has to tell you. So please know that you are all loved, and I am so thrilled to have found all of you, and I hope that you will be a part of my life forever. Thank you.